Florida State has found their quarterback of the future. It is announced today, right now, actually, that 2026 four-star quarterback Brady Smigiel is set to be a Nole. He announced his commitment just a few minutes ago, and we are here with rapid reaction on Warchant TV. Ben Spicer, Michael Langston, Matt LaSerre up top. They've got you covered on recruiting news all throughout the weekend, and some big news here on this Saturday with the commitment of Smigiel. Michael, take us away. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings on the quarterback coming from Cali to Tally? I always wanted to say that.
It's a big deal. There's no other way to word it. The quarterback is the biggest position in any class. In any no matter what class it's in, 2025 or whatever. And Brady was one that we saw the quarterback dominoes start to affect where he makes the last minute trip to Tally, comes over, visits. I felt pretty confident based on what I was hearing that it was going to be that he's coming over to commit. That's the gist I got, and certainly that happened. But just to have a guy as a top notch guy, who's going to get you have him for a few years to recruit for FSU. Certainly a guy that will be back consistently, but having guy all in Cali might be some challenging just on having him on campus as much as you would like, but. I think overall it's not a big deal as far as the strength of the commit. I think this has been kind of trending this way for a while, and for FSU to get him this early, that's a big deal to set up your quarterback room and put it in a good place. Now you don't have to worry about all these 2026 quarterbacks. You can take your time and kind of build your class around Brady.
Stats are incredible. He's played 2 seasons of high school football. Obviously, he still has two more to go as a 2026 guy, but through 2 seasons, 98 passing touchdowns. His film is impressive. Matt, what do you like about Schmeigel?
Yeah, for the most part, I mean, his arm is fun to watch. When you watch his film, you see him go deep a bunch of times. He keeps his eyes downfield. You'll see him roll out of the pocket and have pressure around him and still be able to make that deep throw. Overall, I really like this pickup for Florida State. Like Michael said, a lot of the dominoes started to fall, and the stars kind of just aligned here. You thought Florida State might push for Faison Brandon, who's the number one quarterback in the class, but they just didn't really want to go all in on him, and then maybe lose out on Schmeigel down the road and kind of get stuck with nobody or none of those like top 10 quarterbacks there. So the fact that they were able to get him in and get him in now is huge for them. And again, like Michael said, you build it around him, and this 2026 class is already looking really good. I know it's 2026, and it's hard to like get excited this early, but they're the number one in the country recruiting class for 2026 according to On3 right now, and I think they have two in the top 100 and one just outside, and another in the top 300 according to On3. So it's shaping up to be a really good class if Florida State can continue pushing for 2026.
Michael, we've seen in the past, Florida State kind of locks their guy up in advance. So they did that with Luke, with Trammell.
Mhm.
Now we'll see if that stays, and then now with Brady. So just kind of what kind of pressure does that take off, and just how important is that to be able to get your signal caller for the future in advance, so you don't really have to worry about that moving forward as time progresses.
I think it just takes pressure off of what you can recruit other positions. You can really you highlight receivers. Receivers know what your guy is when you're recruiting 2026 receivers. They know who's going to be there as far as in their class, and it's a very you never relax until they actually officially sign. But I think overall it makes the staff a lot more relaxed where they know they can build stuff around running back, offensive line, even go to the defensive side. I mean, I've always said like I felt like the quarterback is the most important position to get him in. And you could sense like when Brady arrived, I think on Thursday, you could kind of sense like this was a big deal. FSU felt like, hey, this is likely going to happen. Just the greeting itself was really, really I wouldn't say dramatic, but just exciting. And you just felt like it was going to happen this weekend. And we spent time even on Friday, just tracking, see how the visit was going to go. And word I got was he was around the players a lot, and we kind of experienced that when I think Matt talked to him, about the commitment. He talked about just being around the players and stuff, but I think the majority of this was just to interact, to see how his comfort level is with the players because he hadn't done that a lot. And I think overall he's sold on what FSU does from a quarterback standpoint and offense standpoint. But I think once they did the player stuff, it was kind of like, yeah, this is probably going to happen. It's going to happen pretty quickly. I think it's probably going to happen anyway. But I think this kind of solidified it when he was around the players and kind of sense kind of what it's like here. And I just think it's a big day for FSU. This isn't. I don't want to just play this like 2026. This is a big deal to have your quarterback of the future already done, and it really, as Matt alluded to, they have a really good 2026 class already, and it just blows you up. It blows things up for your class to go even higher. And now, you could see a lot more even offensive targets that really have interest in FSU, even some from the West Coast, since
Yeah.
that's where he's from. You could see a lot more guys, jump on board with the ship. So I think it's a major deal for FSU on a Saturday.
I think you kind of
Yeah,
read
and to
my
kind
mind a
of
little bit here. I'm interested to get both of your all's thoughts, and Matt, we'll start with you. Do you feel like this kind of solidifies Florida State as being a brand and a factor in national recruiting? Once again, we know they do so well in Florida and Georgia as well under Coach Norvell, but getting a guy from California, especially an elite quarterback, I mean, that's got to get you excited for what's to come, right, Matt?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they can go coast to coast, and they've shown that before as well. Like Blake Nicholson. I mean, DJU is also from California, and he's here. When I was talking to Brady earlier this morning, he was like, I asked him, I was like, so what about the distance? Like, you worried being that far from home? Like, it's all the way across the country. Like, why? Like, really? Like, just why? He was like, no, I'm not worried about it at all because Florida State feels like home. When I'm at Florida State, it feels like I'm at home. It just doesn't matter to me. And I think that really carried around, honestly. And then, as Michael was saying with the players, that was a big deal. He said he had dinner with the quarterback room with DJU, Luke, Brock, Glenn, and he said the camaraderie and the bond that they all had was like a huge reason for him committing because he wants to be a part of that. He liked that. And it just goes to that home feeling that he got at FSU that he didn't get anywhere else. Despite being across the country, I guess Tallahassee feels like California to him.
Michael, going to you. Is this a big deal? Is Florida State, stamping themselves as a national brand in recruiting once more under Mike Norvell by getting this kid from California?
Yeah, I think it's a major deal because like I said, you're a year ahead of where you're supposed to be. You're getting a top-notch guy that a lot of schools want and covet. We've seen that with schools that have gone after him. I mean, this is a guy that we've seen that with other schools with 2026 quarterbacks, and it's sure there were other options, but to get this guy locked in, to get a guy that's fits everything, kind of what you want to do. Is for hard throwing guy, reads the field, sees the field really well. Makes good decisions, kind of just fits everything you're looking for with FSU. Um, Really big kid too. When you watch him and you're already with his size, I think everything certainly fits. And it doesn't guarantee it's going to be perfect or you're in sign, but I think this one feels more Luke like to me than maybe a previous one, maybe with Trammell or stuff. Trammell, it wasn't as defined. I think with this one, it feels like. And I'm not saying Trammell's going to flip or anything. I'm just saying it feels different. Like when Luke committed, you felt like there was a strong feeling of, hey, this guy can play really early at FSU. When he gets there, it won't take long to develop him. And then with the skill set with Brady, you see a lot of that high skill set that compared to others, there's other guys that I feel take a little longer with a guy like Brady. I think his skill set's so good that it will not take long for you to develop that into, especially when you talk about 2 years away. His technique is a little more ahead than most underclassmen that I watched. So I think he's a guy that it is a massive deal. It's a massive deal for FSU, and FSU fans should certainly be really excited about this. And it feels like that he's pretty locked in. Like this didn't feel like, hey, I'm committing because I like it. Like this is one that was well thought out. That it's going to be really extremely difficult to change his mind. I think FSU is in a really strong spot with this commitment.
Florida State has their 2026 quarterback locked up in Brady Smigiel, 4-star quarterback from California. For Michael and Matt, I'm Ben. Thanks for tuning in here on Warchant TV. Make sure to drop a like on this video for the latest Florida State commit, and stay tuned because we're expecting to hear some more good news over the next couple days in the 2025 class. Until then, we'll see you next time here on Warchant TV.